Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Captain's Quarters, the unofficial Star Trek Rewatch podcast, where we are rewatching the entire Star Trek franchise, going through the entire chronology, starting at the beginning of the timeline. We have finished Star Trek Enterprise. We did 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery. We did The Cage, and now we're getting into Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And today we're talking about Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 3, called Ghost of Illyria. My name is Gabe, and I'm with my co-captain, Jason. Make it so, Jason. How you doing?
Captain Gabe, how are you? Good, doing good. It's good to be back in the quarters. What are you
Fantastic.
drinking?
Yes.
I saw you drinking something off,
Yeah,
off
yeah.
frame.
I'm back on the athletic,
Ah,
non-alcoholic IPAs. Um,
nice.
this is probably my third one of today.
Not a sponsor, but could. Maybe,
So
maybe.
so it's all of the flavor with none of the feeling, and then also you get the those calories in the beer belly
Right,
with no buzz.
right.
But
And no, and most importantly, no damage to the liver.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. A lot of research came out recently about alcohol consumption and correlations with various cancers, not just liver, etc. I mean, it's all cancers, is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're saying is correlated with alcohol consumption. So
Is that why alcohol consumption is down, like all across the board?
that's probably part of it. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Well, I think across the board, the reason is because it was up during COVID. People working from
Oh, and
home.
now it's just resettling. I get it.
Yeah, people are stressed out. They're at home. They're stuck with the kids at home. You know, got
Sure.
a little something to take the edge off.
Sure. Sure,
You're
sure,
not
sure, sure.
you're not driving around.
Right.
So I think that's what I read anyway. Is that
Okay.
post COVID we're just normalizing.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's do the synopsis via fandom.com. Thank,
Engage.
thank you to them. The USS Enterprise encounters a contagion that ravages the ship. One by one, the entire crew is incapacitated except for number one. Uh-oh, I'm going to mess her name up. Una Chin Riley,
Oh, no,
who
you
must
didn't.
who must now confront a secret she's been hiding as she races to find a cure. So the Enterprise goes to Hedimit 9, and they are investigating the site of an abandoned, allegedly, Illyrian colony. So the Illyrians are a humanoid species known for modifying their genes to enhance their capabilities. However, because genetic modification is forbidden by the Federation, they weren't allowed to join the Federation. And that, I believe, stems from the eugenics wars and the huge stigma around anything around genetic modification because the universe doesn't want to go back to this horrible time when I believe it was Khan who
Mm-hmm.
ruled massive swaths of um, the population, and the Federation doesn't want to go back to that. So they've taken a hard line on genetic modification, and thus the Illyrians are not allowed to join. But there's, the Enterprise is still there, scoping out, trying to figure out what happened to these Illyrians. And this planet is frequented by massive ion storms. And so the team is down on the planet, but a storm is closing in, and they're kind of researching the ruins of this colony. And number one, and the whole team beams up except for Spock, who is researching these like records They can't get a hold of him, so Captain Pike goes to find Spock. So Spock and Pike are down there, and everyone else beams up, and they're basically cut off because of this incoming ion storm. Um, Number one tells Pike, "Hey, go find shelter. You need to hide because just ride it out, and then we'll beam you up after the storm." And so when number one and company are back on Enterprise, some weird stuff starts to happen. They start to have these weird symptoms where they're attracted to light, and it it accelerates to the point where they are like ripping off their clothes and seeking out light sources. This virus, this contagion is growing, so more and more people are getting infected. Sick bay is overwhelmed. You know, people are losing their minds. They're becoming like rabid dogs, kind of, about light, to the point where some of them are doing crazy dangerous stuff, like the Andorian,
Chief
what it,
Hemmer.
yeah, Chief Hemmer is literally like cranking up the was it the transporter or the warp core to like
Yeah,
10,000 degrees, and he's like, I can,
yeah,
he just wants to feel the heat, the intensity of the light. And number one is infected as well, but she's like able to control these like urges, and she's the only one who's not like manic, even though she has a lot of the symptoms. um and so even like La'an, the chief security officer, she also does something with like the warp core where she's again trying to crank it up so she can feel it. And so one by one the crew is dropping. Dr. Mbenga is not able to create an antidote or any sort of treatment because of the way that the contagion interacts with people's immune systems. So we learned that number one is an Illyrian, and that's why her body is able to handle the contagion. Her immune system can handle it, and so they're trying to figure out a way to like synthesize antibodies from her to share with everyone else. They're not having luck with it. Meanwhile, down on the planet, Spock and Pike are finding out more about the Illyrians, and they are assailed by these like wispy ghost light creatures who are trying to like break into their where they're hiding. And at first they think that they're going to kill Spock and Pike, but they end up like kind of forming a cocoon around them and protecting them from the ion storm. The storm passes, the ghosts fly away, and Pike and Spock are like, "What the heck just happened?" Like, and then Spock deduces that because these creatures are in the records, Spock deduces that they must be the Illyrians. He says there's either two things: either that they are the Illyrians, or I can't remember. I actually can't remember what the other option was, but he basically deduces that they are the Illyrians, and they start to they start to um, take a different point of view on these Illyrians because they went into this situation assuming that they were bad, for lack of a better word. They were adopting the Federation viewpoint of genetic modification. They turned the corner on the Illyrians, if for no other reason because the Illyrians just saved their lives from this ion storm. How bad could they be? Just for no reason. They just did it because it was the right thing to do. And so then back on Enterprise, so um, when La'an is infected, her proximity to number one enables her immune system to create the antibodies. And then sickbay is able to then create an antidote to cure everybody. And the final thing I'll talk about, or a couple other things, is that there's this mystery about it, which is like the transporter is supposed to have this like biofilter that filters out contagions on the way in. So it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, they figure out that the contagion travels along light, but they can't figure out why the transporter doesn't filter it out. And we find out that Dr. Mbenga has turned off the biofilter because he had a terminally ill daughter who was given like 12 weeks to live. And he figured out that like if you transport someone, you can contain them inside of the machine as long as you reanimate them every so often. So he's been like hiding his daughter's particles inside the transporter and then just ever so often like reanimating her and like reads to her and just hangs out with her a little bit at a time as a way to buy time until he can find a cure for her. And so we see that at the end, and the storm passes. They bring Pike and Spock back up. Number one has been hiding that she was an Illyrian. She broke all these. She's, in her words, she's broke like a dozen Federation regulations. She shouldn't even have been on the crew. She tells Pike, she tries to turn in her badge. He says, "No, you're the best number one in Starfleet. Put it back on." And she's like, "Yeah, but you're going to get put on trial." He's like, "Fine, I don't care." And, they also cover up the Dr. Mbega thing and pretty much vow to help him find the cure. And I don't know if we knew this, but when La'an and when number one were having a moment, we find out La'an is the descendant of Khan. I don't know if we knew that. I don't know if I knew that before that moment. And so obviously huge implications there. I have a couple questions about that for you, Jason. But I think the idea is like she's the descendant of Khan, so her genetic DNA has weakened to the point where she's not a true augment, even if she comes from that. And maybe that's why she goes on a Starfleet, but I want to ask you about that. But
yeah.
And then it just closes out with, number one asking the question, like being relieved, like she didn't lose her post, like she loves Starfleet as like what she wants to do more than anything, but also kind of being like feeling like the reason she's getting a pass is because she saved the day, and she asked the question of like, when will it be enough just to be an Illyrian? Like was she saved because she was one of the good ones?
Yeah.
So that was it in a nutshell.
That was great. So a couple of things. Hemmer he transported a piece of the mantle.
Oh my God! Yes, that was it. Yeah.
You got La'an was overloading the security of the warp core.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, I forgot about that. That was insane.
And then the other one, so Spock speculates that these ghosts, light being creatures, saved them, but didn't save the Illyrians because of potential atrocities that the Illyrians had, may have put them through.
That was one theory.
Yeah, that was the first theory. or
Yeah.
the one that you covered, that they
Yeah.
were the Illyrians,
Right.
which happens to turn out to be true
Right.
because the library spits up at the last minute and says, "Hey, um, tell our story. We were giving up our augmentation to try to join the Federation, and
Right. That's a huge
this
part of it.
contagion happened, and they sacrificed. They were killed. Well, I don't know if they were killed, but they transformed into some other beings, into these
They
light beings.
wanted so badly to be part of the Federation that they tried
Yeah,
to reverse their augmentation.
yeah,
That's how badly they wanted it. And it
yeah,
ended up costing them everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although they reached a new stage of evolution. I mean, you get to be. I mean,
A fire
painfully.
ghost.
Yeah, I mean, painfully. You drive them. So in that sense, that's like Gollum for those Lord of the Rings fans, right? They're so attracted to light that they go insane, and they do these insane, insane things like fly into the sun like Icarus, or transport a piece of the mantle, or whatever the case might be. So those extremes to get light because of, which is true of a vitamin D deficiency. And for those people, for those of us living in the Northwest right now,
Mhm.
it hits home pretty hard.
I hear you, man. Hey, come visit us. It's 80
Yeah,
degrees
yeah, no,
here.
I know,
So
I know. That's what we usually do. Oh,
I thought for sure when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is the fly. Like, I thought what happened was a moth got into the transporter
oh,
and
yeah,
that they all became part moth. And so they were
yeah,
attracted to light like moths to a flame.
yeah.
Um, but so, hey, this was a fantastic episode.
Brilliant.
This was so good.
Yeah.
I loved this episode. This might be the best Star Trek episode I've ever seen. And I know I've said that before. Um, but
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
this one was amazing.
That's why I
And
love this series. I'm sorry, buddy, but this is
yeah,
partially this is example number 2 or 3, however many episodes we're in, of why this series to me is so much better than Discovery.
disco.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but and yes, the aesthetic is still disco, and this is obviously a spin-off of disco, but I'm like, this is much more Star Trek than disco.
sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. And like Rebecca Romaine, number one,
Yeah.
it's like I remember when she was like a Sports Illustrated model
Oh,
25,
really? Oh, I didn't know that.
25 years ago.
Okay.
But but man, is she a good actor. Because I remember because she would do like I don't know if you call it acting at the time, but like documentaries of swimsuit models or whatever. And I remember she would always was presented as like very aloof and like not the brightest bulb, but like man, she
Uh-huh.
just really blossomed into an incredible actor. I mean, she carries this whole episode and she's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, this episode is great. Just the many themes of touches on prejudice of
Yes.
just when she says when will be enough just to be an Illyrian and one of the
Yeah.
good ones. Like that really hits home like, the fact that you have to be one of the good ones to be accepted. Like
Yeah.
that is the plight of people who are experiencing prejudice right there. Um, in the minds of the oppressors, I guess you start in a deficit just automatically,
Absolutely.
just by what
Absolutely.
you are,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and you have to prove your way
Absolutely.
just to get even.
Absolutely.
So,
In
um,
many ways, it's also an immigrant story too, right? When you're the first gen immigrant coming, you know, um, let's say America, right?
Yeah.
There's that to prove.
Hmm.
Um, when it, am I ever going to be, a real American? That kind of thing.
Right. There's much more to overcome.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
for sure.
sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
But just a great episode. Just the did we know that La'an prior to this was descended from Khan?
Yeah, so I've been holding this back because in the first episode, yes, first episode, she says her name.
When when we met her.
Yeah, when we met her. I don't remember the context, but it's one of three things in my memories playing tricks on me. It's either she says it, we see it on a pad, or
Mm,
it was Captain Pike that says
yeah.
La'an Noonien Singh. And I was like, all right, no, if Gabe didn't catch it, I'm gonna keep it until we find
No,
out that
I did not catch it
okay,
at
yeah,
all. Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
from from that moment and from like the first time that I ever watched it, I said, "Oh my gosh, they are going to introduce a descendant of Khan Noonien Singh, and they're going to be a pivotal character on, a pivotal crew member on board the USS Enterprise." And so it's like, "Oh, okay, let's go." and and there will be this is a this is one of my Star Trek series because it's obviously character driven
Hmm.
series, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We will delve more into La'an.
Excellent.
We'll get more
And,
La'an for sure.
and so can are you able to explain to me why, because La'an wasn't necessarily trying to hide her background,
Yeah,
but number one was
yeah,
why, if they were so strict about not letting in those who are genetically modified, why would they let in La'an and not number one?
yeah. So for me, so there's two things. So and I think one of them you mentioned briefly is that she is so far removed from Khan Noonien Singh
Hmm.
that she is no longer considered to be augmented or to be considered genetically engineered or modified.
Yeah, got
Second
it.
one, the second one is that she didn't do it. They didn't do it by choice, and whether Unich and Riley had a choice or the Illyrians, they're much more recent, and so they chose it, right? And they haven't backed off or tried to de-engineer themselves. But my guess is that that La'an is so far removed from that, but she still carries the last name, unfortunately. And I guess there's a stink around it, and that's why she's still like there's that last scene between them, between Una and La'an, where there's this PTSD moment where growing up she was taunted and called augment, and there's this deep seated like um uh I it's not racist.
Yeah, it's
Um
just trauma from,
yeah, it's
yeah,
it's
being
it's
picked
from
on
being
and
differing,
sure. Yeah,
and being taunted and ridiculed as a kid, and
yeah,
that sucks.
right,
There's a
exactly.
deep seated like I thought we were friends. Why didn't you tell me? You're an Illyrian. I could have, we could have been there for each other, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure number one would have loved to tell her, but
Yeah.
didn't
And
want to
then
risk losing her career.
yeah, and then the other thing about this episode is like, that was the other theme is like, oh, we're close as a crew, but we still, I mean, obviously, it's normal to have secrets, like deep secrets, like, so Hemmer was not wrong, Dr. Mbenga. Right? So, yeah.
Right. Wait, what was Hemmer right about?
Oh, that there was nothing wrong with the transporter.
Got it.
And that it was Dr. Mbenga hiding his daughter,
Got it.
which you feel
Hmm.
for.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, well, I love this episode, how they're like, they can identify the right thing to do. You know, Federation regulations be damned. A little bit of that is Pike thinking he's going to die, so he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But I also just think that he just has a strong moral compass, and he's looking at the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law, which is the right thing to do oftentimes. And um,
Oftentimes.
yeah, so yeah, love this episode.
What would you give it?
I was thinking like a 96 or a 97.
Okay.
You know,
Nice.
to nitpick as I do, I
Yes.
would just, it was a little bit coincidental that this all came together with number one, and she happened to be an Illyrian.
Yeah.
This whole setting took place near an Illyrian colony,
Yeah.
and now we find out she's an Illyrian, but
Yeah.
we don't, but she wasn't from that colony. She's from a distant colony.
Right.
So I just thought that was a little too coincidental. And I just would have liked a little bit more exposition on La'an's exemption to get into Starfleet. Like I think we pieced it together and maybe it was implied, but I feel like maybe they should have just outright said, I was allowed in because of this or something.
Yeah.
Um, but fantastic episode, just
I mean, we're 22, what are we? 2250, 2250 something.
59 or so,
59.
59, I
Yeah, so
think,
we're
something
like,
like that.
so in my mind, we're like 300 years from the eugenics wars. So, you know, and by the end, they banned uh yeah, they banned genetic modification anyways. So it's possible. And then the other thing is that, it may be addressed. I don't remember, but it may be addressed in a future episode.
I bet it will be. Yeah, I think so.
So there's one more thing that I
Yeah.
so, so the crew that your beloved crew that gets stranded from home by Archer,
Oh yeah.
they were Illyrians.
No way.
So in some instance, this should burn you. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know it we're reaching back to I don't even remember the episode. I think it was called Damage, Danger, something like
I
that.
don't, I don't know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the crew that Archer stole their warp drive parts
Wow.
for were Illyrian. So I was curious if
My
you'd
mind is
remember. I
blown right now.
know, I know it's been a long time, but I was like, I've been holding that since
Since we talked about
yeah.
it.
I was like, okay, there's another thing. Okay, I have to hold on and the Illyrian captain and the Illyrian crew.
Dude,
I'm pretty sure they were Illyrians, and yes, you're like
that is crazy.
yeah. So
Just another reason why Captain Pike is the best,
yeah,
because you got to think to some degree Archer would be influenced by this institutional prejudice, right?
It's true. No, it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true. I think Archer would have been like, but again, that was 100 years in the past, and Pike is a little more evolved
yeah,
than Archer, so
yeah. 100 years closer to the war,
Mm-hmm.
Archer was. Um, Man, these poor Illyrians,
Yeah, I know.
they
So
can't catch a break.
I thought that might,
Yeah, man, they just cannot catch a break.
they cannot catch a break. Although, I mean,
It,
they got a little bit in this episode. I mean, they got their. I mean, they got their a little piece of the pie in this one.
yeah, but just such a sad story. They so desperately wanted into the Federation that they
Yeah,
reversed their modifications,
and
and it
and
cost
then
them
this
everything.
contagion gets him killed.
Yeah,
I don't know. Again, were they killed or were they just altered into another state of being?
I actually have the same question. Um, Maybe both.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they reversed themselves back so that they were susceptible to the contagion, and the contagion turned them into the monsters.
Right.
And maybe had Mbanga not, or not, it was his nurse that found the cure, right?
Yeah,
If
it
she
was Nurse
had,
Chapel. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, if she hadn't synthesized the antidote or whatever,
yeah.
perhaps everyone on the crew would have turned into those wisps.
Right, right, right. Yep.
Yeah. So what
So
about
I don't
you?
know if that's I. Uh, I think of it in a way of kind of the nicer, like the nicer way of Anakin turning into Darth Vader.
Uh-oh.
The same, but not the same.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The Illyrians
Tell
did
me
die.
more.
The Illyrians did die, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they
Yep.
became these wisp ion
Mm-hmm.
wispy things. So
Okay.
I find it
From
to
a
be not
certain point of view.
to a certain point of view. Yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely,
The good
absolutely.
man I
So
once
the
knew as your
Illyrians
father.
that they were died, but became and evolved these, you know,
Okay.
the elf dwarf that Gollum was
He was a
before the
hobbit.
ring,
He was a
hobbit
river
before the
hobbit.
ring, right?
A river hobbit.
A river hobbit, thank you.
Yeah.
Before the ring, and he becomes a new person, another
Okay.
being,
I
something
hear you.
else.
He was Smeagol,
Right. Yes.
and he became Gollum.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is something we tackle a lot in this franchise in general. Is
Is
it
it?
death? Is it death? Or is it just the next phase of an evolution?
Sure.
Or
Sure.
a new, book or new chapter, a new book in that same series, just different series.
For
Yeah, and
sure.
we do deal with this a couple of times, quite a few times actually. Not in the same way, but yeah.
I tell you what, if I could live on, and I assume they're immortal. If I could live on
Yeah,
as a
I don't
ghost
know. I
wisp
don't know.
after I
I don't
move
know.
on, wouldn't it be a bad option?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's ghost wisps or just new aliens. And
So I know you've
then
seen
for
this
me,
before.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm very much like Cadet Uhura. I like pitch black
Oh yeah, me too.
when I sleep.
Yeah, I it has to be pitch black for me as well. So,
Yeah,
um, I actually prefer it almost all the time. Like if I'm working, I prefer all the lights to be off with just the computer screen.
me too.
But did you think though that
Ah,
did you think that it was like The Fly when you first the first time you saw this? Did you think
I'm
that
sorry.
they did you think when you first saw this, did you think it was going to be like The Fly? Did you see that Jeff Goldblum movie? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
literally what happens
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he builds a transporter
yeah,
and a fly gets into it.
yeah,
And so when he comes out on the other side, he has fly DNA.
yeah.
And I like, did you think that's what was happening? Because like I was like, oh, it's the fly.
Oh,
They turned into moths. They went on one end of the transporter, they were fine. They came out the other end and they were attracted to light. I was like, oh, they got mixed with something.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So yes, it's exactly what I didn't think of I thought of the fly, but I thought of it from the Treehouse of Horrors Simpsons episode where
Oh, okay.
um where Homer, I think it was Homer or Bart buys the buys this teleporter thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for like $1 from Dr. Frink's garage sale or whatever. So yes. So yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought. One of the and I thought one of the not one of the major characters, but I thought like one of the ensigns or whatever was really going to take that next step and
Mhm.
answer the question and like turn into the wisp
Oh, yeah.
and then, and then like communicate as a wisp,
Yeah, yeah.
like, you've got something, this is who we were, tell our story, all that kind of stuff.
Right. I'm surprised they didn't do
But they
that.
did it in a much more interesting way, and I was like, oh, I'm glad that they did not do that.
Yeah. But I mean, like, given how big the crew is, they could have expended one of them so you could have
Right.
had that moment. That would have been
Right.
really interesting.
Or like, yeah, exactly. Like, or like, even if they did, right? Like, I thought it was more of like a host and a symbiont. And it's like trying to communicate what you're doing is, you're destroying our
Yeah.
planet or whatever.
Right, right. I thought of that too. Yeah. Thought
But
maybe
they
it
did it in a
was the
much more,
Illyrians.
yeah,
Thought
they
maybe
did it in a much more
the
interesting.
contagion was the Illyrians or something,
Right,
but
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Well, what
killing
would you
us.
yeah. What would you give this one?
Oh, this is I don't I try I have to hold back the admiral's pips, so this is a captain's pip for me. I know I'm being a coward and chickening
Okay.
out, but this for me,
Yeah.
like you, love the episode. But there's so many good ones that I just can't be like, oh, he's just a fanboy and he's giving out
Yeah.
admiral episodes.
I
Yeah,
hear you. I hear
this
you.
is a captain's episode. This is 4 pips.
Love it.
Yes.
Very cool. Is there anything higher than an admiral
I mean,
in
I
your
guess
ranking system? In
yeah,
your ranking system.
no, because then I'm not going to go into like vice admiral, fleet
Okay.
admiral.
Okay.
That's stupid.
Okay. Supreme Allied Commander.
Yeah, grand admiral. No, that's stupid.
Okay. Okay.
Chairman of the Joint Chief. No, no. Yeah,
All right.
it's a trap. No, yeah.
Was there anything else with this one you wanted to talk about?
No. No, I do. No, there is not. Can't give. Yeah.
Okay. The story that Mbenga reads to his daughter at the end, there's a quote: "If King Ridley would seek out the Mercury Stone and win it as his own, his victory over Queen Neve would be assured. It is said that in the right hands, the Mercury Stone has the power to cleanse the land of evil and bring prosperity to all. But if it were to fall into the wrong hands, the Mercury Stone's power would bring about a terrible, long-lasting dark age across the land." Definitely some symbolism there with regard to like what's happening here in the Illyrians. There's a bit of a Prometheus thing there with like,
It
you
was
know,
very. It is very familiar. That's not a real story, right? That's not. They made that up.
I think they did, but
Okay.
I think it is the Prometheus thing of
Yeah,
like
it picks. Yeah,
unintended
yeah.
consequences.
That's why it feels
Um,
familiar. But like, there's no children's story of Queen Neve that I just don't know of, right?
I don't know, man.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It would be very Star Trek like to pull from a real story, though.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's why I think it feels familiar. But yeah. But
could
let's
be.
not go any further because that plays out. But anyways,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Because obviously that's going to have to be. They're going to have to put a button on that one way or another. And so it's going to be kind of cool following his arc. That was his whole motivation. That's why he's here. Like, he is the most qualified, but sure, but he also has this opportunity to search the galaxy for a cure for his daughter.
yeah.
And that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to watching that.
Okay, I lied. So the other thing that I did want to mention, and I'm glad we're going down this road because it's very much like Victor Freeze and trying to save his wife and
Oh,
cryogenically freezing his wife to find a cure, and that's how he becomes Mr. Freeze from all you
all right.
Batman fans.
Yeah. So I believe
Specifically Batman the animated series where that comes from.
I believe that Mr. Freeze will make an appearance in the next Batman movie, with
It,
Giancarlo Esposito
is there going
playing,
to be another Batman movie
yeah,
with
Robert Pattinson.
Edward Cullen?
Yeah,
Is that his name from the
yeah. I think it's either currently filming or it's already
Twilight
wrapped.
books?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Okay, cool.
Or I fell for some
I
AI image on Twitter, poster, but
Oh no.
I
Oh
did
no.
see a poster with um, Gus Fring, Giancarlo Esposito
Who
playing playing Mr. Freeze.
Giancarlo Esposito? I thought he was
Yeah,
Commissioner Gordon.
is he?
I don't know. I haven't seen I didn't see
Yeah.
the movie.
Okay, well, now I need to look this up.
Okay.
Let's see. Um, it's very possible I fell for an AI
No,
generated
no, it's fine.
poster.
No, 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 no. No. I knew I thought they were gonna do another one, but I was like, so soon?
Yeah, I think I fell for AI because now I don't see anything on the internet. Um,
But
so the poster I saw was, it said something like we're getting a new Batman. It was a poster. It was Robert Pattinson as Batman, obviously, and then it had um oh, what is her name? The Catwoman, but her
Zoe
name, her,
Kravitz.
yeah, but the character's name, I can't remember her name, but it had Mr. Freeze and then it had the Penguin in the image as well. And it was a movie poster.
Okay.
So I fell for it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um,
Catwoman's name. Oh, they've changed it so many times. Uh, Shoot. Um,
well, so a year ago, there was talk of him playing Mr. Freeze. He said he spoke to James Gunn about playing Mr. Freeze,
hmm
but there just does not appear to be any confirmation
Okay.
of this.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Selena Kyle.
thank you. Yes,
That was gonna kill me.
nicely done. Man, we live in a time with AI. I'm just going to keep falling for stuff like that.
That's why I think it's kind of like it's interesting, but it's also it obviously can be very dangerous,
Yeah, big time.
especially with fellow people and their critical thinking skills. I'll just leave it at that.
Hmm. Pretty
Oh my
much.
gosh.
Do you think
Just lost. Oh god, I just insulted. Sorry.
who uh who did Mr. Freeze better, the animated or Arnie?
Ooh. Ooh. Um oh, definitely in the animated series. I mean, because that's where it came from. I mean that story that Arnie, that they had him play. That came from Heart of the Heart of Cold. In the Heart of Cold, is that the episode Batman the animated series?
I'm not sure, man. I don't know.
Cold Heart.
Arnie, he has so many good puns in that movie. Um, or like one-liners.
They were so stupid. Although
He's
I
like,
think I have quoted him a couple of times on this podcast. Winter has come at last.
oh my God.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, they are stupid, but I am stupid, so I will always quote "Winter has come at last." That's the only one that I remember because it's the one that I like. It's the one that I want.
It's like every line he says in that movie is a pun.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The other favorite one is when George Clooney is like, Victor Freeze, will you help me? And he opens up his wrist or his arm thing, and pulls out the two blue Gatorade vials, and he goes, take two of these and call me in the morning.
He says, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. And he like starts attacking. That's not even
uh,
remotely true, by the way.
yeah, no,
The Ice Age didn't kill the dinosaurs,
no,
but
yeah, no, I know. That was the 90s,
and it,
2000s.
he says, let's kick some ice. Oh man.
Although, you know what? I bet you that movie now has become one of I bet you, like, people like it is now a fan favorite.
I
I
don't know,
doubt
man.
it, but I bet you it's a fan favorite now, even though back then it was like, oh, that's a terrible movie. He's the worst Batman. And now, oh my God, that was the best one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't have the whatever it takes to watch it again to find out. So
Yeah.
anyway, we are just a couple months away from Andor season 2. Very exciting.
There's been
Can't
more
wait
and
for
more
that.
stuff about that, about Andor season 2 posters, and unless those are also fake
They could be.
leaks and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. April 20. So yeah,
nice.
very exciting.
So in the Star Wars universe, that's it, right? Until then,
Yeah, pretty
right
much.
now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So yeah. Um,
And what about in the Zelda world? Are you still
yeah, the only thing really going on is they announced the new system, the Switch 2, officially.
Oh, okay.
The rumor mill has been on top of it
Oh, okay.
for forever, but officially announced. And then there's a Nintendo Direct April 2nd. Um,
Okay.
and with that announcement, there could be a Zelda game announced, not out of the realm of possibility. Probably a remake or a remaster, but
Okay.
fingers crossed it's the Wind Waker remaster. One of my favorite Zelda games, the Wind Waker. It's basically impossible for me to play because it's not currently on the Switch. And
What do you
so,
have to get, like a Nintendo 64 or something?
no, you'd either have
Yes,
to
back in the
play it.
day.
You'd either have to play it on a GameCube, which I
Oh, okay.
which which I do not possess, um, or you can play the HD version on the Wii U, which I do have. But this thing is such a beast. It's like it's two components. Like there's the base, and then there's this handheld screen thing, this giant controller with a screen on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just loud and cumbersome, and it just sucks. So I have it in storage, but I'm not going to bust it out and play it like when I have a Switch that I can lay in bed and play. Whereas,
Amazon has got your, I know, like, don't really, kind of boycotting Amazon, but like
yeah,
$130 for a cube.
a GameCube,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
that's a really good price.
Yeah. That's not bad. Although,
But
yeah,
again,
I won't shop from there.
I'd have to hook it up to the TV,
Right.
and at this chapter of my life, that's just not a thing. I'm not going to sit in front of the TV. I will lay in bed and play for 20 minutes on my Switch, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm not going to hook something up to the TV. So not when you live with other people. It's just not a thing.
Yeah.
If I was by myself or something, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like if your better half and your tribble were on
yeah,
their own, like, getaway, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, if they do announce the Wind Waker for the Switch 2, get ready for a very happy Gabe because I will
Okay.
be over the moon.
Okay.
Well, anyway, anything else, buddy?
I can't think of anything.
Well, thanks. Thank you, Jason. It's always a pleasure. Love doing
Always.
this with you, man.
Yeah, it's great to be back in the captain's
Yeah,
quarters. It's just been a couple weeks.
especially now that we're doing a great show to cover. Um, Nothing better. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
um,
a really nice it's one of the ones that I keep go it's one of the series that I keep going back to
yeah,
find a
I can
little
see
bit
why.
of happiness in this world of chaotic,
Yeah,
nonsensical rubbish.
I can see why. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching on YouTube. And please follow us on all the stuff, everywhere you find podcasts, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on X if you're still there. Eventually, we'll make a Blue Sky account or something. I don't know. But Um, if for some reason you're listening to
Apartheid
this,
Elon, really?
if for some reason you're watching this or listening to this because you found me on TikTok, I accidentally deleted TikTok from my phone. Um, so I will not be posting to TikTok for the foreseeable future. Um, until I figure out how to post to the web version, which I have not figured out
Isn't
yet.
it back?
It's not, no, no. Go to the App Store, search TikTok. It's not there.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you have it on your phone, do not delete it because you cannot reinstall it.
Oh, okay.
Um, it would appear that Apple and Google are taking the strictest interpretation of the law because the ban included those hosting the app. And so they are interpreting it as we are not allowed to host this. And so TikTok is allowed to exist, but these companies are saying we're not allowed to host it because of this act of Congress. And so I don't know if it's an act of Congress, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh.
so even though there was the executive order, all that really did was like um, prevent TikTok from being banned from being accessed in the United States.
Ah, I see.
So you can still go to the website and watch it, but I cannot figure out how to post
Gotcha.
using the website
Gotcha.
on my phone. Because when I click post, it tries to redirect me to the app. I don't have the app.
And you
And
deleted the app. Yeah.
yeah, I did hear that people are selling smartphones on eBay
Oh my
that has
God. Of course they
has
are.
TikTok installed.
Of course they are.
And anecdotally, I heard they're selling them for up to $10,000.
Eh, eh,
So,
not. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
so if you want to make a couple grand, Jason, sell that phone.
You want it?
No, I don't,
You want my
because
phone? All right.
I don't know how.
9,005. No.
Because like I feel like if you did that, they'd have to use your Apple ID, right? Because if they logged in with their Apple ID, it would be their apps. You
Well,
know what I
just
mean?
because you deleted the app, though, doesn't mean you deleted your account.
No, I have my account. Yeah,
Right. So I could probably erase
the app
everything on
installed.
my $10,000 phone.
No, no. Okay, yeah. So within the TikTok app, I would log out and then I would log into mine. But
Yeah.
what about all your other stuff? Because I would have to use your Apple ID.
No, 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 no. You just erase all your Apple ID stuff from the phone.
Yeah, but then that would erase the app and that would defeat the purpose.
Oh, good point. I trust you.
No, I don't care that much. Anyway, thank you,
Oh,
everybody.
Visca
Yeah,
Barça, Visca Catalunya, by the way.
everyone, thank you. And it's
Oh, sorry, you froze for a second.
oh,
May the force
I
be with
just
you.
see ya.